following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest, you're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
Welcome into Beyond the Blast Doors Live. It is May 14th. It's a Friday night, and it's their time, as always, a time for you and I to get together and talk about Star Wars. Welcome in. It is episode 80 of Beyond the Blast Doors on this Friday. So happy to be with you. If this is your first time, welcome into BTBD Live. I'm your host, David Amalotti. If you're returning to our Star Wars conversation, welcome back. Hey, it's a great time to be alive. Yes, there's a global pandemic, but there's a lot of Star Wars to talk about. And in the next hour, we're going to march through speculation, rumor, nothing confirmed. Well, a few things about who is and who is not appearing in The Mandalorian Season 2. It seems like everybody gets a cameo. And as of like a half hour ago, apparently someone that we know named Ahsoka Tano might actually have her own live-action series coming to Disney+. I don't know. This is all rumor. Again, it's all speculation. Hey, Tamara Morrison's back. We'll talk about that, too. We were going to thank the maker. Why? Because it's his birthday, and the man's almost 80 years old. I mean, he's not 80 years old, but he's almost 80 years old. And so we're going to list 76 reasons why we love this man. Actually, not 76, but we are going to talk about why we like him so much and why we're happy to celebrate him on his birthday. I hope he had a great day. We got a few other pieces of business we'll get through. Most importantly, though, and I always want to stress this when we get together for our Star Wars conversation, most importantly, we will hear from you. In the next hour, taking your comments in the live chat section. By all means, comment away. Tell me what you think about the topics we're discussing. I'll jump in the live chat and shout you guys out. And let's just go over a few basic things, because you know that you can always catch Beyond the Blast Doors live Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, live on YouTube like we're doing right now in this moment. This is so thrilling. We're happy together on this May 14th. That was if you can name the show tune that I just referenced with that jingle, then you get bonus points. Hey, episode 80, you're listening to it right now. You can also listen on the rewind on YouTube, but also find it wherever you like to listen to your podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. We are on all those platforms. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just type in Beyond the Blast Doors or BTBD Live. You will find us. So happy to be with you in this moment. Before we jump into the first topic of the night, want to jump into the live chat and just say, what's up, fam? How we doing? Because it's episode 80, and it feels like a milestone, right? Because it's like a decade complete. It's 80. We got something cooking for 100. We're 20 weeks away. About we'll get there. In the live chat though, joining with me, and I'm so happy about it, we got Frammy, we got Gilster37, we got Nick, we got Ms. P, we got Ion Cannon, we got Frammy. Gallinorian Saber is with us, proud supporter of the BTBD Live conversation, and so is Ms. P, and so is Steve, who's in the live chat. He says he's going to pop in and out for a few minutes. He will be back. That's what I love. I love it. Did he just say this is Friday? Holy crap. I did say it was Friday. It's Thursday. Beyond the Blast Doors Live is always on Thursdays. Streaming Star Wars is on Fridays, and we're actually going to talk about streaming Star Wars tomorrow night, which is on a Friday, in just a couple of minutes. Very excited. You can hear it in my voice. I'm very happy. Life has gotten so much better. I'm very lucky because it's not that way for most people. I understand that it's a difficult time right now, but my goodness, we still have a lot to be thankful for, and that's why we get to, for the next hour, talk about Star Wars. So to everyone in the live chat, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure you tell me in the live chat to start this thing up, what is your favorite memory of George Lucas? I will share you my favorite memory of George Lucas to celebrate George Lucas's 76th birthday. He was born in the 40s. Yes, 44. I'm not good at math. I looked it up before the show, but I'm not even going to try and tell you I can do that math mentally. But we're going to celebrate the maker and, of course, the fandom tonight. So the first topic here on Beyond the Blast Doors, episode 80 on a Thursday night, is actually all thanks to you. Because on Twitter this week, we asked, what do you think about today's news that Tamara Morrison will be in Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2? We asked you this kind of towards the beginning of the week. It was just after we had learned about the news that he was coming back. The Hollywood Reporter had that story. We'll dive into that in a bit. We asked, though, is he Boba Fett? Is he Rex? Could he be both? Thanks to the 176 folks that decided to vote in this poll. Always love seeing that number climb. We've had hundreds of people vote in polls. Sometimes I've run a poll with like five people voting. It's just sometimes how it works. It's an algorithm, and we're trying to figure it out. But no, great turnout for this. 60% overwhelmingly say that Tamora Morrison is returning to The Mandalorian in Season 2 to play both Boba Fett and Rex. We asked, is he Boba Fett? 22% say yes, he's Boba. We asked, no, is he going to play Rex? 17.5% say, he's just playing Rex. Screw that. 60.2% of the folks that participated in this poll say that it is going to be none other than Tamora Morrison returning to play both Boba Fett and Rex. Now, what's interesting about this question that we asked you on Twitter, and again, thank you for everyone who participated. If you're watching the live chat, be sure you let us know where you stand on this topic. If you're watching or listening on the rewind, comment down below. Hit us up on Twitter at BTBD Star Wars. What's interesting about this poll question is as soon as we put it out there, a third option is very plausible, right? What if he is playing not just Rex? What if he is not just playing Boba Fett? He is playing a third clone. Wild, I know. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't even think about the idea until someone threw it out there on Twitter. I'm like, that's a really good opinion. That's a really good idea. There could be another clone. I mean, if you have Tamora, you have the technology, you could clone him out on screen. It'd be wild. That would be wild. To have him playing Rex on screen, live action. Haven't had Rex live action before. We have Rex thanks to the Clone Wars series. We've had Commander Cody, not Rex. Really excited about it. I'm giddy about. I mean, just think about this. I mean, we have been talking about the return of Boba Fett in some way to the big screen, to a screen, ever since Disney bought this thing over. And you go back to the countless directors that have been tapped to try and do a Boba Fett movie, and then there was rumors that there was something developing on Disney Plus. And to get the news that Tamora Morrison is going to be returning to play Boba Fett, but also could potentially be Rex, because that's the thing. That's where this becomes more speculatory. He's back. Tamora Morrison is going to be in The Mandalorian, but some are saying he's Boba Fett. Some are saying he's Rex. And all of us fans, at least this fan, saying, like to see him back to be both. And maybe Wolf or Gregor. I don't know. That's diving into it. Of course, we're charting into territory about what happened there in Rebels. Of course, we know that there were a couple clones kind of hanging out on a makeshift home on an ATTE, and we can have that conversation another time. Actually, some of my favorite Star Wars was those episodes of Star Wars Rebels. You should definitely check those out. But at the core of it, is it Boba Fett? Is it going to be Rex? We want both. How excited are you for Tamora Morrison to be returning to the screen, returning to Star Wars? He's in The Mandalorian, folks. We're excited. You should be excited about this. It is a big deal. I'm sure we'll talk about it more tomorrow night with Pete on Streaming Star Wars with Ammo and Fletzer on Friday nights. Same time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, YouTube, live stream. We're going to dive into it even more. I'm over the moon. It's the connectivity. And it's something that we'll talk about. It's an ongoing theme, I think, in this show, because Dave Filoni's hand is in The Mandalorian. Bringing Tamora back, this is a canon connection that I'm all over, and this is habitual at this point. Filoni likes to go and tie up loose ends. And he also likes to tell new stories with familiar characters. We got this with the Clone Wars. We brought Maul back from the dead. See how influential Maul is in the Siege of Mandalore arc, the conclusion of the Clone Wars saga going back to 2007, 2008. See how Maul was so valuable then? It's because Dave Filoni knows Star Wars. He studied at the feet of Lucas. He is the heir apparent as far as the creative, I believe, and a lot of fans want in the Star Wars world. The man knows Star Wars, and he, for a living, gets to find these little connections and plug them where he wishes to enhance our appreciation, to enhance our experience as Star Wars fans. And it's really exciting, and I'll consume it till the day I drop dead. That's how this is going to go. I'm pretty committed at this point. I've spent like a lot of money on like lights and a camera and this computer in order to talk Star Wars with you every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. So I would say I'm pretty committed at this point. So I think Lucasfilm, Disney, Star Wars, they have me for the next 3 to 4 decades. Okay, cool. So I want to know what you think, of course. I'm going to dive into the live chat here in just a few moments and find out what you are saying. But this kind of leads us into the next topic, and it's the theme of the show, everybody. This is what we're talking about. I feel like it's Oprah Winfrey. You know, you get a cameo in Mandalorian Season 2. You get a cameo in Season... Oh, you get to have a cameo in Season 2. This is what we're dealing with, folks. This is reality, okay? This is Slash Films. They had the exclusive here. Kudos to them breaking the story this week. I mean, this is amazing. Katie Sackhoff to play Bo-Katan in live action. Yeah, The Mandalorian Season 2. Rejoice and be glad, friends. Rejoice and be glad because we're going to get Bo-Katan in live action. And it's not just that we're getting Bo-Katan in live action, folks. We're getting the person who voices the character in Clone Wars to come back and play this character in live action. Now, this is a double-edged sword. Katie Sackhoff is loved and admired by her fans. And I think that everyone should be anticipating this live-action debut of Bo-Katan with immense joy and excitement and thrill, and it's going to be a great story. You're doing a series called The Mandalorian. You have this character available to use. Throw her in. Makes a lot of sense. Be careful, though, Star Wars fans, because sometimes we get a little greedy, don't we? Sometimes we get a little greedy, and we want to make statements like, well, why, if we're getting Katie Sackhoff to play Bo-Katan, why cannot we get Ashley Eckstein to play Ahsoka Tano? Well, the easy answer is life's not fair. Life is not fair. But although I think it would be great to see Ashley Eckstein play a live-action version of Ahsoka Tano, we are under the impression that it is not going to be the case. And she will remain the voice of Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. But there is no voicing over for Ahsoka. It will not be Ashley Eckstein doing the live action. And to be fair, and this is not an attack, Ashley Eckstein is an exceptional voice actor. She doesn't have the resume as like a Rosario Dawson on screen. You can agree or disagree. I admire Ashley Eckstein, love everything that she's done for Star Wars. I'm a big admirer of her husband as well. He helped win a World Series for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2004, in which he was the MVP, because without him, we don't win that World Series. I'm a fan of the whole family. You know, done a lot for my city, done a lot for my fandom. Love them both. That's my take on it. Now we're switching gears from Ahsoka, going back to this news of this week, which is Katie Sackhoff. I want to take a look at this article real quick with you because I think it's interesting. And here's the thing, folks. Why is this important to bring in Bo-Katan? Because think about how the first season ends, folks. The Darksaber. Like, think about this. Like, how did Bo lose the Darksaber? How does Moff Gideon have possession of the Darksaber? Like, that's a question we've been asking ever since we saw the last seconds there of Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Like, how the hell did Moff Gideon get this damn thing? How did Bo lose it? We want these questions answered. Maybe we get those answers here. I have a confession to make. I thought that the Siege of Mandalore would be the Purge of Mandalore, or like the Night of the Thousand Tears. Okay, doesn't look like these are the same events. Maybe you knew that. I was being like really optimistic that we had actually witnessed this Night of a Thousand Tears, the destruction of Mandalore, as Maul's goons, and then, you know, the Mandalorians and the Republic duel this thing out. I was wrong, clearly. We want to explore this. Maybe this gives us some insight, Mandalorian Season 2, about that purge, Night of a Thousand Tears. We believe that is when the Mandalorian himself was rescued by Death Watch. We know that through the flashbacks, and I say Death Watch because their armor is blue. We assume that's Death Watch. Okay. There's a lot of Mandalorian history missing from the current Star Wars canon, so it feels like Bo could really help tie things in. Of course, there's rumors of Sabine Wren appearing live in The Mandalorian Season 2. So you throw in another popular Mandalorian, maybe we get some expose, not just on the history of Mandalorians, but my goodness, it'd be great to get some clarification on where the hell she went with Ahsoka Tano after the end of Star Wars Rebels. That's what I'm curious about. You know, these are the questions that are in my head. These are probably the questions that are in your head, too. We'll dive in the live chat here in just a couple of minutes. I think it's really great. Katie from Battlestar Galactica. She's played the character in the Clone Wars and later in Rebels. The connectivity, again, mentioned earlier about Filoni. It's interesting because, there wasn't a statement from Lucasfilm or from Sackhoff immediately, but it's kind of interesting because there was, a question. Here, I'll pull it up right here. So, Discussing Film had asked Sackhoff earlier in the year, hey, is it even possible that you would come to do live-action Star Wars? And the quote is, I mean, who wouldn't? There are people that are going to jump to conclusions that Bo is going to be in The Mandalorian because on paper it makes sense. It does make sense, but, we'll just have to wait and see and cross all my fingers and toes. You never know. Yeah, she played that really well, folks. She played that extremely well. And here in the article, they go on to make the point that I mentioned earlier. Dave Filoni ties up loose ends. We know that Rex and Ahsoka go off into the sunset here at the end of Clone Wars. Okay, so they're together. There's a good chance we get Rex. We mentioned Tamara Morrison at the top of the show coming back to play Boba Fett. We haven't seen Tamara technically since his face since 2005 at Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, I mean, it's just blown away. Live action appearance from Ahsoka in season 2. We might be getting Sabine. We might be getting Rex and Boba Fett thanks to Tamara Morrison. We are getting more and more and more of these possible cameos. It's really interesting. And a good point made here in the article. The author says here, there would be no surprise to see a live action version of Sabine Wren appear in the series, considering her background, the relationship with the Darksaber, and the fact that she does team up with Ahsoka to find Ezra after the end of Star Wars, The Rebels, the animated series. And then, yes, there are these rumors of a new series coming to reality. And that would be that Ahsoka Tano is going to be leading her own live-action series on Disney+. And that is something that, you got to be really careful when we talk about this stuff because it is rumor at this point. It has not been confirmed. There's a lot of evidence out there that suggests it. I will tell you that the websites I have seen report specifically on, hey, this thing is happening. They're saying this is happening, but it's an opinion or it's like an assumption. There's no one that's saying this is going to happen with fact. If you have seen factual proof saying that Ahsoka Tano is coming live action series of her own, you let me know. But so far, all we've got is she's going to make a cameo at least, at some extent, could be 30 seconds, could be 30 minutes, in The Mandalorian Season 2. Would love that adventure. The speculation is that it would be Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren going out, trying to find Ezra and Thrawn. Okay, if that's the story, folks, then you're thinking to yourself, well, could this lead to a live-action Ezra? Could this lead to live-action Thrawn? Could this lead to live-action Kanan Jarrus? Bring back some of these, Freddie Prinze Jr. could be done up and could do live-action Kanan Jarrus. Again, this goes again. Now, my desire is to have Ashley Eckstein be Ahsoka Tano. Maybe it's a scheduling conflict. Maybe it's experience, live-action experience. I'm not quite sure. But in this scenario, Kanan Jarrus is an option. It really excites me. I'm pumped at the idea of this being a thing. But it's all speculative. It might not happen. I don't want to get in. I do this show because I like to talk Star Wars. I like to meet cool people. First off, I like cool people. I like people who like to talk Star Wars. And I like to talk Star Wars with them. I like Star Wars fans who like to Star Wars. And that's what we do on the show. I'm not in the business of, doing 8-minute YouTube videos and speculating on, leaks when I'm really just pulling stuff out of my butt. It's not what I do. There's other people that do it, and you could say they might have a more successful YouTube channel than I have, and that's okay. I talk about fact, and then I like to speculate. That's fine. I'll never make my speculation sound like fact. If I do make it sound like fact, like I'm being kind of arrogant, then you just call me out, and I will clarify. That's the kind of Star Wars conversation we like to have here on BTBD Live on a Thursday night. But yeah, I've thrown out a lot of names here. Isn't that wild? Think about this. A global pandemic really blows. But in the last 10 days, we've been told about Boba Fett, possibly Rex, maybe another clone, Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, Bo-Katan. God, You can't throw Ursa Wren in there. I was about to say Ursa Wren, but that doesn't work out. Yeah, I'm throwing out there Kanan Jarrus. You could have Ezra Bridger. You could have, Thrawn live action, because if Ahsoka does do a live action series, if that is on Disney Plus, and if that certain story is told, you feel like those are characters you can just assume would be involved. Now, maybe that speculation is wrong in itself. I mean, they could take Ahsoka's story. They could take Ahsoka's story and take you right after the moments at the end of Clone Wars and see how she goes out. And you can kind of go through the E.K. Johnson novel events, maybe touch on that a little bit. She makes her new lightsabers. Find out what she's doing during, like, the Battle of Yavin. We know that she's Fulcrum. This is something that we talked about before on the show, that the Fulcrum in we should have known, right? Because the image of Fulcrum is Ahsoka's markings. I just freaking love the subtle stuff that you have to watch like 15 dozen times until you catch it. Like, it took me that many times. I'm sure there was someone on the internet who was like, that's Ahsoka Tano. That's her markings. The same markings that they painted on all the 501st. Well, at least Rex's 501st. Not those 501st troopers that killed that young Jedi boy on Coruscant during Revenge of the Sith. At this point, I'm rambling. Gatorade. I shouldn't have shouted them out just now. They're not promoting. They're not sponsoring the show. What do you think about all the cameos that we just kind of cycled through here on a Thursday night, Beyond the Blast Doors, episode 80? I want to know what you think. Tell me in the live chat. Let me know on Twitter at BTBD Star Wars. Comment down below on this video. I'm diving into the live chat right now to find out what you are saying. And the live chat is bumping. We got 12 people. Big thanks to everyone that's with me live right now. If you can do me a favor, go ahead and hit the share button on this episode. Let's double this live chat. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's expand the Star Wars conversation. This is so great to see everybody. Yeah, it's Kanan Jarrus. I don't know why I'm getting spell checked here in the live chat. Okay, cool. So, all right, everyone's talking about George Lucas. We'll get to that stuff in just a little bit. Frammy says, we are thinking that the Siege of Mandalore and the Night of 1,000 Tears are two separate events. Could the event Gideon spoke of be the culling of the Mandos that drove them into hiding? I think that is totally possible. Great question that you threw out there. That's maybe what I'm leaning towards some more. At this point, yeah, I think we're supposed to assume they're two separate events. We hopefully get a little bit more insight into what that is here in Season 2. Kind of like the flashbacks that we see in Mando Season 1. It'd be kind of cool if that same format maintained, but now you're seeing like flashbacks of a Bo. Or maybe you're seeing the flashbacks of Sabine. Or maybe it would be Ahsoka's. That'd be kind of interesting. That would suggest that she'd have maybe a larger role. We talked about a few weeks ago the episode titles for Season 2, and that the rumored Sorcerer episode. That's where we think that Ahsoka might make her appearance. Fascinating that you say that. I also thought about this. The Armorer. God, what if the Armorer is Bo? It's probably not. It's probably not. I want her to be special. I want the Collector to be someone just outrageously great. What if it's Ursa Wren? No, it can't be Ursa Wren. I'm just playing. I'm having fun tonight. I'm getting lots of lag tonight. Is it just me? Let me see here. It looks like there is a little bit of lag. I will tell you that I think part of the issue is going to be that I'm dealing with severe weather outside. And I'm looking at my system right now, and everything looks normal. But it does seem that there is some lag. So I appreciate everyone being patient with me on this Thursday night. You might have just heard it now, a big thunder boom. The Angels are bowling. That's what my grandpa would say. Hey, let's take a real quick break here from the heavy topic. Love diving into the live chat. We'll get back in the live chat here in a little bit. 9:25 on a Thursday, about at the halfway mark. BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. When you wake up in the morning, we want your Star Wars fix. The first place you go to in the morning to be BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. We want to give you a complete experience. Latest live shows or podcast feeds, news, speculation, opinion pieces, comic book reviews, all by BTBD network personalities that you enjoy and trust. New online. This is an article that came out last week. Want to shout it out again. The Moment Anakin Became Vader, an editorial by Andy over at Hollow Chronicles. A great read. Check it out. I'm just not saying it's shared enough. I'm not like mad at anybody about it. I just think it's such a great read, and it's such a great deep dive into Anakin, his fall, and just how Ahsoka ties into that, and how this is all expanded through what we've seen here recently with Clone Wars. It's a raid you definitely want to check out. Also, a great place to buy merch for your favorite BTBD net shows, Beyond the Blast Doors network shows. Get the classic logo tee for $20. Maybe you're a hoodie guy. That's $45. Maybe you're a girl that likes to rock a tank top. I'm a dude that likes to rock a tank top, and I myself will be rocking that pocket logo this summer in August. If I can get down to Florida, I'm going to do my best. Also, Beyond the Blast Doors Live, BTBD Live, just posted our brand new logo shirt, so you can get our classic logo with the live icon shirt right now. $20 normal time, but let me tell you right now, you still have about a day left, I believe. On sale, $13 gets you a brand new BTBD Live shirt. Go ahead and check that out. Movies, TV, books, comics, toys, cosplay. The Beyond the Blast Doors Network, welcome to our Star Wars conversation. We have a birthday to celebrate this week on Beyond the Blast Doors, and we're really excited to wish a happy birthday to the creator himself, Mr. George Sylvester Lucas. Sylvester is not his last. It's not his middle name. That was made up. I made that up. But George Lucas's birthday is in fact today, which is great to celebrate. The man that is responsible for our fandom, a lot of movies and TV, the show, to name a few things. I wanted to take a moment and just share my George Lucas story. And while I'm sharing this story, I ask you to think about your favorite George Lucas memory, or what you like most about the guy. Comment in the live chat or tweet at us what your favorite George Lucas memory moment is, and I'll try and share as many of those here in this part of the show because I think it's really important just to take a moment back. We just got done foaming at the mouth about the possibility of having all these incredible characters arrive on live screen, like on the screen, live action. Let's thank the guy who really made it all possible. He is God of Star Wars. Okay, that's what he is. Omnipresent, omnipotent George Lucas. So professionally, I work in broadcast, and I've always enjoyed talking to people and learning about people and how they tick and getting to know them. And now for my profession, I do stories on the news, and I meet people all over and get to tell their story. And I've always really been fascinated with the art of interview. And the earliest memory of an interview I can remember is those Leonard Maltin interviews with George Lucas on the VHS tapes of the original trilogy. And they had the really cool cardboard covers. It was Vader on A New Hope. It was the Stormtrooper on Empire. It was Yoda on Return of the Jedi. And these were my dad's prized collections. And every time we would watch the movie, I'd always ask Dad, hey, let's watch those interviews. I thought it was really cool. Leonard Maltin asking those questions. I thought it was really cool how George and Leonard were in that moment. I liked the explanation of why George did certain things with his storytelling, developing the story of Anakin Skywalker over these three movies and kind of fleshing that out in his mind as he progressed with that original trilogy and, the worlds he liked to take us to. And I learned so much, and that taught me the power of interview. Now, I go along, and as I get older, I encounter great interviewers like Jack Buck and Bob Costas and, other great, journalists and personalities. But it kind of started with those interviews. And this really cool dude in black with a cool facial hair and the hair up top, I thought George Lucas was cool, and he created Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. And that memory is so important because it's kind of part of the foundation of what I do now on the daily, which is really cool that Star Wars and George can kind of have that tie in my story. And I'm not alone here. A lot of people have maybe a similar connection or a very different connection, but in some way, Star Wars, something that George Lucas has created, has influenced you in a way, an emotional, mental, maybe a spiritual level. And I think that's really cool, and that's what we get to celebrate here on this May 14th, 2020. George Lucas turns 76, I believe. Okay, going down here into the live chat now. George is our maker, Tumed2 says in the live chat. Gilster37 says, great stuff. Tumed2 also wants Boba to live in fan fiction. Lives in fan fiction. Well, yeah, I mean, anyone can live in fan fiction. Pete Fletzer wrote an exceptional fan fiction, Duel of the Fates. You can find that right now online. There's also an audiobook working in development. I think there's a portion that got developed. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not sure. Hope he doesn't hate me. All right, great. So looking in the live chat, let's go back up here and say, yes, everyone is talking about, so the rumors say this is the place to be on Thursday night. You are absolutely right. It is the place to be. Gilster, 37, George Lucas' birthday, awesome. Same history, Monty Python, aired on BBC. A fun fact for you. Gotta love George's focus on the galaxy he created and the characters that inhabit it. Where would we all be without him? Many of us here would never have met, and that would have been tragic. I think that's a great point. Like, we get to gather around the table on a Thursday night, on a Friday night. Basically, if you follow the shows here on Beyond the Blast Doors, the network here, you get a start 6 out of 7 days of the week. But we get to gather around this table and talk about this saga, the Star Wars story that we all love so much. It's really exciting. Very thankful for this opportunity. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to be had in the Star Wars world. Diving down a little bit further, trying to find out what else everyone is saying. Ion Cannon says, I will always remember the 40th anniversary panel at Celebration Orlando. I was only in a streaming room, but it was such a wonderful tribute to him. Almost a This Is Your Life show. Very cool. My favorite moment is the one here. We all know one another because of George. Thank you, George. Nick says, great call, Gil. Absolutely. Really appreciate everyone commenting here, just spending their night talking about Star Wars 15 Live with us. We got a hell of a crew here tonight. This is great. This is wonderful. Everyone having a good time, making sure that I don't miss anybody.